When maintaining your daily wellness rituals is important to you, the change in routine during the summer can feel daunting. Kachava's new travel packs help you stick to your daily ritual, even when you're on the go. Just one packet of Kachava's all-in-one nutrition shake provides complete nutrition with 25 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, greens, adaptogens, and much more. So you'll be fueled and ready for wherever life or your summer adventures take you. No fillers, no nonsense, just the good stuff your body craves. Plus, it actually tastes delicious. But you can try it for yourself because the Variety Pack includes all 6 delicious fan favorites: chocolate, vanilla, chai, matcha, coconut acai, and strawberry. So instead of worrying about sticking to your daily ritual, simplify it with Kachava. Go to Kachava.com and use code FITNESS for 15% off. That's KACHAVA.com, code FITNESS.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss along with Paulie Howard. And we are live, as always, in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Fun 3-hour program lined up today. Plenty on the playoff action, again, that we have going on tonight in the NBA and in the NHL. A lot of reaction to get into. Some bets, I think, that can be made regarding the lottery that dropped yesterday in the NBA. Great guest on the program as well, Nick Whalen. Props tonight in the association. Nick Alberga, who joins us. We'll talk NHL with him. And Neil Parker on the program today to go over the PGA. Second major of the year is this week. Paulie, I'll begin by asking you this. Did you agree with the NBA's decision to not suspend Victor Wembanyama for Game 5?
Yes. I also don't think he should have been kicked out of the game. I agree with Mitch Johnson and others that if they call the foul like they're supposed to, he doesn't lose his mind, and then he just starts swinging, and then the alien catches Naz Reid. Just unfortunate that everyone's watching Sunday night, coming off one of the best playoff performances ever, with 36, 15, and 5, only done by Hakeem, Shaq, and Kareem, and the guys tossed early.
Toss with 8:39 to go in the second quarter. The earliest an All-Star has been ejected from a playoff game in the play-by-play era, which goes back to 1997.
Yeah.
That's per ESPN research. I did see a lot of people, like on my Twitter feed anyway, suggest, and these are like NBA people, they thought that he was going to be suspended. They thought that he actually should have been. But it's weird the way the league does this because he doesn't really have a history.
No.
If that's Draymond Green, he's probably kicked out of the playoffs.
Yeah. Also,
you know, I mean,
it's an accident, and he didn't even know he was going to get tossed too. But it certainly changed things in play, and it changed the series. And also, I will come back though and say they still should have won the game. They're up 8 with 8 minutes.
How good is Mitch Johnson as a coach?
Yeah.
The adjustments to go small ball.
That was great.
And you saw all that young talent on display. They're loaded at guard, man. They got a ton of dudes.
Yep. Fox goes 1 of 7 from 3. He had some wide open looks. He finished 8 of 23, but you're still up 8 with 8 minutes to take a commanding 3-1 series lead, and they couldn't close it out. And Ant seems to be close to 100% because Ant was the difference as well and dedicated it to his late mom after the win. So a big win for the T-Wolves, and they saved their season.
Remember a couple of years ago when this would happen in the NFL, when a quarterback would go down and it looks like, that doesn't look good. That might be an ACL. I don't want to play doctor here as a bettor, but I need to probably check the in-play and books. The algorithms would not adjust. There was no like person taking over saying, oh my God, I need to adjust this because he's clearly not going to be out for the rest. That has changed now in recent years. And last night I thought was the prime example. I don't think I've ever seen such a quick reaction after the news came out. And so when it looked like there was a chance he was going to be kicked out of that game, they still had San Antonio as a 3.5-point favorite, and they were obviously favored on the money line, and the Wolves were around plus 130, give or take, to come back and win the game. So I watched that replay. They must have had the replay 10 times before they made the decision. I'm like, I think he's going to get kicked out. I took the Wolves on the money line. I know other people were betting the over, thinking he's going to be gone. They're going to go small ball, and we're going to watch a tempo go up.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they kicked him out, it completely reversed. It took like a second. So there's no doubt, like somebody who's in charge, and then there's like they all copy and paste, and it's all kind of the same thing, I think, set up anyway. They went from a 3.5-point dog, Minnesota did, to a 3.5-point favorite, and they were like almost a minus 180 to win the game. So that the window that you have now to bet during injuries is it's trimming. It's getting shorter and shorter by the injury, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah, that is odd. Yeah, and how you have to adjust on the fly, but also sometimes you're in a uncharted territory too. I mean, in the 5th round, Chimaev was minus $6, $5 to win the fight, when a lot of people thought it was a pick'em at that point.
Sure.
And they give it to Strickland by decision. So still, that you kind of like Caesars and Will Hill putting that up, and you never know what the judges are going to do. Of
course.
But certainly he couldn't be a $5 or $6 favorite while we're talking late 4th, early 5th round, and he loses.
Well, especially in that sport. I mean, you have no idea the way judges are going to look at something like that. And if you think it's actually much closer than that, you got to take the dog.
But that was a tough fight to score, too. That's another thing. Yeah. I know. Yeah.
I remember that happened right away when the UFC was the only thing back during the pandemic. And there was we talked about every single fight card ad nauseum 6 years ago now, but there was one fight card, I think, when they were in Florida. Again, nothing else is going on. Everybody's paying attention to that. People are betting this stuff like crazy. There was a guy who was minus 20,000 or minus 2,000, I believe is what it was, going into and during the final round. And he, like, nothing happened where the opponent like completely overtook him in the 3rd round. And yet he won the decision. The dog did. Like, what are we watching here?
Yep.
How does that happen?
Yep. I will say 10.5 is too much, though, tomorrow night. I just think that's a lot of points for San Antonio, even though Wemby is the best player and what he means to the team. But it's certainly everyone wants to see OKC and San Antonio, and I hope we get it.
Yeah,
the league wants that in the worst way because you got the Knicks already through now. So you would have a fantastic outcome no matter what if you get those 3 of the Final 4. And they're this close to doing it.
Here's how good the Western Conference is overall and how good it's going to be for the next, 5, 8, 10 years, whatever it is with Oklahoma City and San Antonio. The Minnesota Timberwolves are a really good basketball team. And it most likely that team will never, with this core, they will never even play in an NBA Finals. And they're really good, as we saw again last night. 10.5 is a big number. Is it enough tonight with the Thunder? They keep taking money against the Lakers.
Boy, this is going to be a weird environment tonight where the season's over. And I know Doris Burke commented on how quiet Game 3 was. But it's just, the outcome here. Now, I will say, great job that they've had the lead at the half the last 2 games. But they've met 7 times, and the Thunder have covered every game, and 6 of them have been blowouts. So, number one, I think you've got to look at Hachimura props again. He's been fantastic, and they adjusted him to 2.5 now with the made threes. But with OKC, it's just pick your poison. And Mitchell was awesome in the last game. So there's so much firepower. And again, Caesars and Will Hill won't list McCain for most made threes in the game. But it's just they can get whatever they want offensively. They're too good. The Lakers are beating themselves with the turnovers. That's also a killer. And they've done a nice job on SGA and making others beat them. But that's a good game plan from Redick. And I'm with Doug Kazarian. I would look at SGA points under again. But
Doug's not on that tonight.
He got off it?
He got off it tonight.
Oh, wow.
Because he expects the Thunder to absolutely blow their doors off, and that could be, who knows, SGA with 30 by the middle of the third quarter.
I'm surprised he didn't come back with that. But it's the biggest home dog LeBron's ever been. And now it's just how high can you put the number? Because they've buried him here in every single game. Well,
this will tell you, what a tweet from Evan Abrams, who's been on this show on the network many, many times. The Thunder will end up favored by 50-plus combined points against the Lakers. And if they finish them off tonight and they cover, they're going for the 4-0 straight up in ATS sweep. Only one team has had a 4-game golden sweep while favored by 50-plus points. That was the 2019 Bucks over the Detroit Pistons. So,
yeah,
rarefied air here. The up to AI stats at vsin.com. You're going to love this. One of their biggest edges tonight in the NBA is DeAndre Ayton points.
No.
Yeah.
No way. Oven mitts? Come on.
10-plus points at plus 104. They project 12 or more points out of him tonight. It's a 29.3% edge. They also like Jackson Hayes.
Oh, no.
Why?
Come on. Everything they're going to do is going to be from the outside. Kennard, Hachimura, bombs away.
Well, Hachimura has just been Mr. Automatic here.
Been great. The other thing, too, it's Austin Reeves. You're going to give him all this money? That's another thing. What are they going to do next year? Is it just going to be Reeves, Luka, maybe get Watson from Denver? Does they work something out with LeBron? I don't know.
That's a good question.
I hope it's not LeBron's final game. with the Lakers. I don't know what the offseason's going to look like, but that's Austin Reeves had a rough go of it as well. But they're just too good and too much firepower, and it's a reason I said it'd be the biggest upset in history if it occurred. At least they respectable in the first half. Then they just run out of gas in the turnovers, and OKC says, "Okay, let's get down to business."
Yeah, and the player widely considered the second best on the team hasn't played 1 second.
Yeah, I know.
Crazy, man.
And imagine if the lottery went their way.
I know.
Imagine
if they would have popped like top, I don't know, whatever, throw out a number, top 5.
Uh-huh.
Because the Clippers got lucky.
They did.
My God, did they ever.
Worked out.
And we'll expand on that coming up.
Had to have it.
Oh, man.
Was big. Would have been big for the Heat, too, or the Warriors to get a trade piece for Giannis, but they couldn't move up.
Sure.
And I still think there's a pick left, right? There's still another pick next year in this Paul George trade? I think there's another one still.
Does it go all the way through 2027?
Oh,
I'll give you another one, and we'll expand on this game coming up as well. Pistons Cavaliers tonight. Opta AI, super high on Jalen Duren tonight. Points.
Yeah, to me, it's bet Harris till you lose. He's gone over his points prop every game in the playoffs, 10-0. He's 18.5 tonight. And we're telling the truth here. This is 8 straight average to below average games by the Cavs. They were up 17 in a must win. They blow the lead. Great job by Harden, hit the clutch shots. I think Detroit wins.
Do you?
I do.
Yeah. So originally, I wanted to bet Cleveland in this game. That run that Detroit put on them in the second half, and the fact that game was tied. And yes, Cleveland covered, but let's be honest here. They were very fortunate to cover that game. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I can back Cleveland.
No. Cade had 2 silly turnovers. They continue they're doing a better job from 3. And that's a big shocker in the series. Mm-hmm. Duncan Robinson's been awesome, and they're outscoring them from 3, and that wasn't supposed to happen. So, and I've been disappointed with the bigs for Cleveland as well. And once again, you don't know what you're going to get from Harden. So, also Detroit knows let's take care of business and get ready for the Knicks too.
Yeah.
To wrap this up, as I do think they'll win a Game 5. So that was very, very concerned with the comeback and that they had to hang on for dear life in a must-win.
Yep, exactly my thoughts on that. And I would say this. I actually kind of want the Cavaliers to come back and win the series. No faith in them to do that, just so we can lay 1.5 and 2.5 games with the Knicks. The Knicks would pound this team into oblivion. And so much to digest from the NBA draft lottery. Based on what the Wizards president said, maybe betting the Wiz not to draft AJ Debinca is the play. We'll expand on that coming up next year on VSiN.
Let me get your attention real quick, podcast listeners. I've got something for you that almost feels too good to be true. First, credit where credit's due. If you're listening to this podcast, you're already leveling up your betting game. You're riding along with our best bets and top angles. And when there's a good game on, you're getting involved with a few props and alt markets as well. There's one more layer if you really want to step things up, and that's VSiN Pro. I've mentioned it before, but things are only getting better for our pro subscribers. We just rolled out our MLB prop projections, breaking down some of the best edges across strikeouts, hits, home runs, and more. And that's on top of everything else pro subscribers already get, including public betting splits, expert picks, and betting guides across the sports calendar. If you haven't tried it yet, stop sleeping on it. You can get your first month just $9.99 or save big with promo code POD26 on the annual subscription. Hit the link in the description and start cashing in with VSiN Pro. All right, back to the show.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
So for whatever reason, the NBA decided to kind of sneak in the lottery on Mother's Day, Sunday afternoon, rather than having it typically like they have in every year that I can ever remember on a Tuesday night while playoff games are going on. And the Washington Wizards come out on top by winning the lottery. They lost, 26 of their final 27 games?
Yeah, good for them.
Yep. So they knew what they were doing. They were handed the blueprint here. That's what you need to do.
No one tanked harder than Memphis, and it worked out, too, that they jumped up. And I'm glad. First time since, 2019, the worst team gets the number 1 pick. That's the way it should be. Uh-huh. These bad teams need to improve, and we'll see what the changes they make here coming up. But good for the Wizards and good for the Jazz. My God, what a break for the Jazz.
Well, what if they got the first pick?
I know.
And I'll expand on that coming up in a second. No kidding. The Jazz, circle that team for next year, folks. As soon as odds come out for various things, which we're going to expand on as well. But then, so that's the example. The Wizards lost as many games as humanly possible. Compare that to the Sacramento Kings.
Right.
They, for a long stretch, they had the worst record in the NBA. They closed 3-3. As Rob Perez tweeted out, everybody else was historically tanking. They decided to win games or whatever they could.
Got to play DeRozan.
Yep. The result was that team having to flip a coin with the Jazz for a standings tiebreaker. That Kings lost the coin flip, and now they're picking 7th, Utah 2nd. It's an absolute crusher.
Yeah, they're still going to get a good player.
Oh, for sure.
And I hope the Acuff falls to him because they love Acuff. I hope he's there. But that just goes back to like the Raiders for years. Why you winning meaningless games and you blew it. And that's big. And bad beat for the Nets, too.
A horrible beat for the Nets.
The Nets fell big time as well. So it's enormous what happened to the Clippers. It was risky with the Pacers. Yes, they got a good center. You could come back and say they're cheap because they haven't gone into the tax 20 years. You went to the finals last year and lost in Game 7 against the mighty Thunder. You do get Zubac, but it's a player-friendly, team-friendly, rather, deal. And it's a 50-50 shot. And they lost the pick, and it goes to the Clippers for making that trade.
That is, I can't even begin to explain how devastating of a blow that must be to that organization. Because it was protected 1 through 4, and then 10 and beyond? Or 8 and beyond? So it had to slide
5 through 9.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's the only spot. If it landed 5 through 9, it was going to go to the Clippers. They had to thread the needle perfectly. The Clippers did in order to land that pick, or to say differently, worst case scenario for Indiana. And that's exactly what happened. And that's a team that took Oklahoma City to the 7th game last year, the NBA Finals. They're going to get Halliburton back. Zubac waiting to play for them next year. If that would have been a top 4 pick, like how good are the Pacers are we talking about next season? They're right there again at the very top with all these other teams to maybe come out of the East.
Yep. No doubt.
So that's, oh man, devastating blow to them.
Yeah, that bad beat for Atlanta, too. They had a 43% chance to get a top 4 pick. And they're still get a good player, too. But that was tough for Atlanta and a horrible trade by the Pelicans, what they did. And we'll see what happens in Washington. Will they keep the pick? Who's it going to be? And what happens to Anthony Davis? With Anthony Davis coming out and saying, well, they have to show me that they're going to compete. Maybe he doesn't even play a game for Washington.
So the Wizards president, his name is Michael Winger. He said that they will at least consider trading down from number 1. He insisted that this is not a savior moment for the franchise after trading for Trae Young, Anthony Davis, on top of the team's recent lottery picks.
Well, think about this organization. Haven't made a conference final since 1978.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
We were too young to even possibly remember that.
Cell teams.
So here's what, I'm looking around for different ways to maybe bet this. They're open for business. I think they were smart to say that, by the way, because they probably know how much Utah would like to trade up to get the number 1 pick and then take AJ Dybantsa, because he elected to go to BYU. They would love to keep him home. And oh, by the way, Utah is going to be stacked next year anyway, because they're getting a ton of guys back from injury, and they made that trade for Jaren Jackson, et cetera. You can find this now with prediction markets, and that is the team to draft AJ Dybantsa. And Washington is minus 218 to draft him. Utah is plus 312. Well, I would say that if there's going to be a team to trade up, it would be Utah because of what I just said. And also because the Wizards, yes, it's a stacked draft for sure, but how far do they really want to come back in this thing? So meaning, like, if the Nets offered them like a huge package, would they say, yeah, that's better than Utah and what they can offer, but we got to slide down to number 6 now to pick? I don't know if they, but also here's where it becomes a little bit tricky, because I think Utah plus 312 is kind of tantalizing to me. However, this works, how it works at the NBA. The Wizards could actually be the team to announce they're drafting AJ Dybantsa.
Right.
And then flip him to Utah, like after they make the pick at number 2. So technically then the Wizards would be the winning bet under that scenario.
Yeah. And who has more assets than OKC? They could make a deal too with everything that they have. It's so scary. Yeah, the other thing too is you just see this is gold from a rating standpoint and the interest level. But I do say I don't need the interviews with the players before it starts. That's nonsense. There's no reason to do that. And the other thing is, so much was going on and so much transpired, and the implications and ramifications of what happened. How about we spend more than 10 seconds on it? How about we digest and inform the audience the significance of what occurred instead of, all right to the basketball game? I mean, that was stupid. You got to give me more than 10 seconds on what actually happened and what occurred and what this means and the outcomes.
Did they ever break down? Because I'll be completely honest.
Malika Andrews said, okay, this happens now, so they jump into the top 4. And then this happens now, so the Memphis and Chicago go in the top 4. But that was it. And then they go to break, and they come back, and they announce it, and they interview, and it's okay, right to the game.
So the best decision I've ever made, well, probably not, but it's up there. Years ago, I said on the air that I'm done because it's a bunch of nonsense. And they spend 25 minutes talking about nothing, and then they just run down the picks, and that's it. I said, I'm not going to tune in to the actual broadcast until they start. And I legitimately tuned in yesterday as soon as they were announcing the 14th pick was going to go to Charlotte. So
Took long enough.
They never talked about like scenarios that could happen. Like Oklahoma City could jump up here. And
after I'm saying never. After you need to talk to Bobby Marks and have a full breakdown with Windhorst about what this means now. You know, and I know even Simmons talked about it on his podcast. It's got to be, come on, what are we doing here? Right into the game. It's silly. This was a big deal, what happened. Because it's an all-time draft.
Sure. I liked what Arash Markazi tweeted out. All you have to do is trade Anthony Davis, and you're going to get the number 1 pick.
That is something.
Yeah. Trade for him, and you're going to get the pick. Dallas did it. Bam, number 1. Washington did it. Bam, number 1 as well. If at number 5, who should the Clippers target if he's on the board?
Probably the kid from Illinois. I think that he's got a plethora of guards. They'll probably do that. I do think it'll go DeBansa, Peterson, Boozer, Wilson. That's how I think 1, 2, 3, 4 go. 5, I think Clippers go kid from Illinois, and then hopefully the Kings can get Acuff.
Yeah, I don't.
Maybe Brown. I saw some Brown stuff there from Louisville.
Okay,
but I would think the Clippers. Yeah, who knows what's going to happen. First of all, Adam Silver, they're doing a terrible job. There needs to be a ruling here with what happened with Ballmer. That has taken forever and holding things up. Because you don't know if you're going to have Kawhi Leonard and what's going to happen with that. You need a ruling before this, I think, too.
Yeah, I don't know if the Clippers would take Darius Acuff 5th overall. I don't know if that's the correct pick for that team. So having said that, I mean, I also don't know if the Nets would turn him down at number 6. But rest assured, if he's there at number 7, the Kings are going to take that kid.
Yes.
Because they made it abundantly clear last year. Imagine if he actually slips to like number 8 or 9 and goes to the Hawks or the Mavericks.
Well, still, you're going to get a good player with where's Yaxel going to go?
Yeah.
Where's Mara going to go? Those guys might go 10, 11, or 11, 12.
How about Fleming's
when
from
you look at it? Another one,
Houston?
too. Yes.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yaxel's going to be, he's going to be tempting as well.
Sure he will. And I'm seeing him mocked at like 11. That's a great fit for Miami.
Can he really drop to number 11?
That's why I'm seeing him.
Oh, man.
I'm seeing him 10, 11 in that range. Absolutely.
He's too good to slide all the way down to number 11.
You're going to get a good player.
And I've heard plenty of people, by the way, say that Wilson should actually go ahead of Boozer, which I don't necessarily disagree with. I think Wilson can be a really freaking good pro. But again, most of this class is just, that's why the lottery it had so much anticipation to it yesterday.
Mm-hmm. You'll get a good player at 7, no doubt. Smarter bets start here. Last all year long with VSiN Pro. For a limited time, get the annual subscription, normally $240 for just $199. When you sign up today, you get 2 extra months, 14 months. VSiN Pro, less than 50 cents a day. Code PRO. Every best bet, every host, every guest. Head to vsin.com/subscribe. Promo code PRO. All the videos, all the prop tools, AI stuff as well. vsin.com/subscribe.
Boy, people would have lost their minds if OKC landed somehow like in the top 5. It's a good thing for the NBA that they didn't.
I was rooting for it.
So was I.
I think it would have ended the lottery.
Yep.
I think a lot of people would have been pissed off.
Yep. No question. So lottery action and possible bets to make as a result. NBA player props as well. Nick Whalen on the program. Boy, he has a ton of bets that he likes tonight, including a couple that are some pretty nice plus prices. Find out who he likes coming up next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
I'm more on the draft lottery here and some player props tonight on the board in the NBA as we head out to the Progressive guest line. Nick Whalen joins the program. He's with RotoWire, also co-host of a great show here Monday through Friday on VSiN called Prop Points. It's at 1 o'clock Eastern time. Hey, Nick, good afternoon. Thanks for the time today. How are you?
I'm great, guys. Good to be back with you.
I love how many props you have on a very small NBA card tonight. We'll get to those in a second. We just talked lottery. Your biggest takeaways from what you watched yesterday?
Yeah, I said it on our show, guys. I was a little bit disappointed, to be honest, that we didn't get some of the chaos that was on the table heading into the lottery. Now, if you're an Indiana Pacers fan watching this show, you're probably throwing up your arm saying, what are you talking about? We lost our pick. It was top 4 protected. But really, other than that, and then the perennial lottery losers, Brooklyn and Sacramento, both moving down. Like this was fairly vanilla. You know, we didn't have a team jumping up 9 or 10 spots like we have the last 2 years with Dallas and Atlanta. I actually thought it would have been really fun, you know, for the Hawks owning the Bucks pick and the Pelicans pick, the better of those two. You know, Atlanta jumping up would have been really interesting to throw another big time piece on that roster. You know, there was still the hope that Golden State, you know, could get a life preserver in the lottery. Miami, OKC, obviously, if they had jumped up, that would have been a chaotic scenario. But you know, it's interesting coming out of it, all these conspiracies and, you know, is the lottery rigged? Is the league trying to help certain teams? We ended up with the Washington Wizards, the Utah Jazz, the Memphis Grizzlies, and the Chicago Bulls holding the top 4 picks. Those were arguably the 4 biggest tanking offenders in the NBA this past season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Good observation. Do you think Washington ends up trading the number 1 pick?
Do I think it actually happens? I'm not sure. I think they'll entertain it, though. You know, they didn't exactly shoot down that possibility. And look, if you are Washington, specifically in this draft, where holding the number 1 pick is a lot different than it was, say, 2 years ago when Zachary Reese-Shea went number 1 overall. Specifically with the Dembele connection to the Utah Jazz, to the state of Utah, playing at BYU, that is really, really interesting to me. You know, how badly do the Utah Jazz want to keep him in state? You know, could we see a Jason Tatum, Markelle Fultz type of situation? Hopefully it doesn't play out that way for the team, you know, taking Dembele at number 1, which would be Utah in this case. But I don't think it's off the table. I mean, if you're Washington, you know, yeah, you brought in Trae Young, you brought in Anthony Davis. Doesn't really sound like Anthony Davis is planning on being in Washington for too long based on how he's talked about that over the last couple of weeks. But it's not like you dropped Dembele on this team and all of a sudden you're contending for a title. Like I think the Washington Wizards still have a lot of things to figure out. So it would behoove them, I think, in a lot of ways, if you could still get the number 2 overall pick, if you could pick up, say, maybe a lightly protected first round pick from the Jazz in the next draft or two, I think that would make sense, especially if internally they don't see that big of a difference between Darren Peterson or Caleb Wilson, whoever it may be, and Dembele.
Okay. The Cavs have won every home game so far in the playoffs. They made it interesting, blowing a 17-point lead on Saturday. They're laying 3.5. Mitchell found his offensive game. He had 35 in the win. Also, surprisingly, had 10 rebounds. What do you want to do with Mitchell props tonight?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, guys, he's the only player on the Cavs who I trust at this point. You know, we don't have to go through the history with James Harden. Evan Mobley is very much game to game. Jared Allen, you know, who knows what you're getting. So I'm willing to look at the over 26.5 points for Donovan Mitchell, minus 118 over at FanDuel. You know, it is somewhat of a high number considering how slow the pace has been in this series. You know, even Cleveland shooting it at 56, 58% in game 3. You know, it's not like they put up 135 points in that game. So even when they're shooting it well, they're still struggling just to score in the 1 teens. As you said, they had that big second quarter and then immediately blew the lead in the third. But Donovan Mitchell is really the only guy night to night who I think is going to show up. So I don't mind him on the points prop. If it comes to James Harden tonight, guys, I'm playing unders. I'm looking at the under 26.5 on his points plus assists. Even in what was his best game of the series, one of his better games in the playoffs so far, still went under this number on Saturday, 19.7 assists, played 40 minutes in that game. And of course, the Cavaliers shot it well from the field. They were converting assists at a higher rate than they have really at any point in this series. Detroit, number 1 in the NBA, guys, at limiting opponent assists, both in the regular season and in the playoffs. And I think if you're looking at that points assist prop specifically, that's probably what's going to bring it home because we haven't seen these big scoring outbursts in the playoffs from Harden.
Yeah. All right. How about the Thunder and the Lakers tonight? OKC double-digit favorites here, taking money as well in this game. A miracle, almost. The market almost is telling you that for the Lakers to survive and extend the series somehow. What kind of game do you expect from LeBron?
There is some speculation out there where it's like, well, could this actually be his last game? I would be very surprised if that's the case, especially with how well he's played down the stretch. And even in this series, it doesn't feel like LeBron would walk away, especially, ending his career on a sweep. But, I think there will be some stat management from LeBron, if you will, as we talked about last week. The Lakers are obviously going to lose this series, whether it happens tonight or 2 nights from now. But, LeBron has a way of making sure to kind of distance himself from his teams when these things happen. So I don't mind looking at the points for LeBron, but the 2+ threes is something that jumped out to me earlier today at DraftKings, -108. LeBron is not the greatest 3-point shooter, but I think the volume will be there tonight, especially if we finally get a game where the Lakers are really down early. I think for this being a 3-0 series, for every game being decided by double digits, the Lakers have actually been more competitive than I expected. They were down 4 midway through the third quarter, in game 1. They've led each of the last 2 games at halftime before just completely letting go of the rope. So I think we see, more success offensively from LeBron. There's just no chance the Lakers can even hang around if LeBron and Reeves aren't doing something.
Yep, totally agree. So are you expecting points then overall in this game? The total is 214.5.
I am. I actually do like the over quite a bit tonight. We do see from OKC sometimes in these series where they dominate a lesser opponent that the defensive intensity that they bring to the table does kind of wane a little bit as these series go along. To pull from just a very recent cherry picking example, you look at game 4 of that Suns series, which I think finished at like 253. Yes. Where, it's not like OKC is just throwing in the towel, but it's hard to bring that same level of intensity when you're up 3-0 in a series. What the result is going to be. And, if you're the Lakers, you're just throwing things at the wall right now. You got to try to do anything to extend this series. So I think we could see a little bit of a pullback defensively for OKC. So I do like the over. Each of the last 2 games, of course, have sailed way over with OKC putting up a ton of points. So that's one angle I would look at as well.
A good market, double-double and triple-double. And Kate had the triple-double in the last game. How about Hartenstein double-double at almost 4-1?
I'm going back to it, guys. I'm going back to it. He keeps dodging these by like 1 rebound. There were a couple games earlier in the playoffs where he was like 1 point short. He finished with 12-9 in game 3. He had 10-9 in game 2. He had 8-9 in game 1. I'm not backing off now, guys. I'm not backing off now. I think there's still enough value here. Plus 374 over at DraftKings for a Hartenstein double-double.
I love that observation. Same with this. Cason Wallace, I think, led the league in steals this year, and he's had a couple of nice games in a row. 2+ tonight you're seeing plus 173 on that.
That's what I saw this morning when I was putting together notes for our show. Yeah, and that's really the reason that I like this play. Coming into the series, we talked about Cason Wallace steals props. It was still 2+, and that was even money for game 1, which he went over. He finished with 3 steals. He has 1 steal in each of the last 2 games, but for a prop that was priced like it was going into the series, not a whole lot has changed to me. The Lakers are still turning the ball over a ton as the series has gone along. So, steals are obviously going to be fluky game to game, but someone like Cason Wallace is about as consistent as it gets with those defensive numbers. So at plus 173, I was willing to take a bite.
Oh, big fan of that one, the Hartenstein one as well. Love the fact that you have so many bets tonight with only 2 games on the board. You can follow Nick on X. He's at Whalen, but again, replace the letter L with the number 1. So WHA1EN with RotoWire. And he does a show Monday through Friday here on VSiN called Prop Points at 1 o'clock Eastern with Jeff Erickson. Thanks, Nick. Best of luck tonight.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
And he joined us here on the Progressive Guest Line. So the LeBron threes, 2+ is like minus 108, like he said. Mitchell over with the points. The double-double on Hartenstein in the 4-1 range. And Wallace, he'll get playing time. He'll get minutes. What do you have? 16 points last game, and led the NBA in steals this year. I bet AJ Mitchell over 24.5 PRA tonight. Points, rebounds, and assists at even money. Saw that out there earlier today.
Okay.
He has been absolutely phenomenal with no Jalen Williams here.
Yep. And I tell you, the Cavs better win, or else this thing's over in 5. We're going to have a lot of off days in the NBA.
I would agree.
So this is, again, 12 of 32 from 3 in game 3. Not going to cut it. And they're going to have to get Strus and some of these guys going, and Tyson and Merrill, and it hasn't happened. Other people are criticizing Atkinson, that maybe he's not playing the right guys, and do something with the lineups. I don't hate Mitchell over rebounds, which I mentioned with Nick. He had 10. He was awesome, and he's sitting there at 4.5 here.
Yeah, I like his points over tonight as well, because he's spot on. He's the one Cavaliers player that you can trust.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, if if they don't win this game tonight. I mean, the game 5 angle of the Pistons covering like every imaginable alt number is there. Because this Cavaliers team just reeks of somebody, a group of players who would just say, yeah, screw it, we're not showing up tonight. They have James Harden on the team. That's all I have to say.
Well, you got to find Duncan Robinson. He did not play well against Orlando, and they really struggled in the paint and from 3. And he's had 15, 17, and 19 so far. And he's 4 of 7, 5 of 9, and 5 of 8 from 3.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they lead the series.
Up next, Paul's going to recap a lot of the action and the big bets that came in over the weekend with win some, lose some. And what are we doing here, NFL? Why? There's no reason for this.
Win Some, Lose Some is sponsored by the Sharp Plays.
Were you a winner last night? Wow, winning. Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser!
Paulie Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
Fun weekend, a lot of big tickets cashed. Golf, Rayton, 110-1. He wins the Truist Championship. UFC, Strickland plus 360. By decision, 9-1. Van round 5, 16-1. Green sub 9-1. Dawson sub 6-1. Round 3, 14-1.
Yeah.
Miller did it again.
I know. How about that?
Sub 9-1, round 1.
Round 1, too.
Damn, should have had it.
Tip of the cap to Lou Finocchiaro.
Miller, strong.
Loved Strickland.
Yep.
It paid off.
NBA, Knicks, Sixers, game 4. Most points, McBride, 70-1.
They listed him, huh?
Most threes, McBride, 12-1. Cat did it again. Even though with the silly fouls, always in foul trouble. 3-1 to lead in assists. 8 dimes plus 320. 10 dimes, 5-1. Knicks tied a playoff record for made threes in the first quarter, first half, and the game. That was fun to watch. It was a Knicks home game. Thunder Lakers, game 3. Most points, Mitchell 25-1. Most assists 25-1. Most points 15-1. Hachimura again, most threes, plus 450, 11-1 overrun with his made threes. Pistons, Cavs, Cunningham with a triple-double, 16-1. Tobias Harris has gone over his points prop every playoff game, 10-0 to the over, 18.5 tonight. Most rebounds, dead heat, Cade and Mitchell. Cade was 40-1, Mitchell was 25-1. Friday night, game 3, Spurs 3.5 up to 5.5. Wemby, 35, 15, and 5 blocks. Coming in, only 3 guys had done that. Shaq, Olajuwon, and Kareem. Most threes in the game, Naz Reid, 10-1. Road teams 4-0 Friday, NBA, NHL. Hurricanes, first team since the new format in 87 to start 8-0. Held every opponent under their team total in every game. Carolina with that under, 16-0. Marner hat trick 70-1. Montreal reverse puck line plus 320. Hurricanes Flyers overtime plus 320. The WNBA overs 9-2 so far. 4-0 yesterday. Tomorrow there's a game with Dallas. It's 181. Mercury plus 350. That was an angle I missed too. The pomp and circumstance. You're getting the rings. They put up the banner. And the Aces had nothing.
Oh, they were never in the game.
No, blown out. They responded yesterday. Wings 2-1. Golden State Storm over 154.5 up to 161. Lower league soccer playoffs. 5 of the 6 games went under. 5 of them were either 1-0 or 0-0. One going on right now that's 2-0. Subscribe, be part of the team, vsin.com, our radio and podcast friends. You always want to see these tweets and videos at Paulie Does Vegas on Instagram. Send them in, we'll put you on. This was at the Win. A friend of a friend hit this. $10 denomination. Holds the king only. And gets the Royale with cheese for $40,000. That is 1 in 178,000. You're likely to pull the Royal holding 1 card. It's nuts. Congrats to that individual. Lose some. Chimaev minus 550 or $6 in play in round 5. He loses split decision. And the shenanigans again with the Buckley fight. Offshore, like plus 250. And then day of went from plus 150 to minus $3. Several books pulled the fight. A couple places offshore voided the bets. And then he goes out and total strikes were 245 to 21. And he landed 5 significant strikes, lowest in UFC history, as Brady pounded him. That's the one time it didn't win. It looked like someone had the right information, but not this time.
So it was a rigged fight that was not rigged. But the betting market got wind of it thinking that it was going to be.
Alerts were sent out as well.
Yeah.
That crazy movement. But he had nothing. Friday night, Sixers had nothing. Plus 2 to minus 4.5. Aces minus 7 up to 9.
Hold on 1 second here. What happened in the second quarter of that game? The Sixers hit the Knicks with a 2x4 upside the head to begin the game. And then it was all New York after that.
Yep.
God, Philly.
Lead.
God,
Yep.
they're gutless, man.
Yep. It was a great performance by the Knicks. Aces 7 up to 9.5. Atlanta Dream 2.5 up to 5.5. No good. The Sun from 17 down to 9.5.
Oof.
Lost by 30. Here's what Mitch is talking about. Week 1, Sunday night football. Giants Cowboys again?
Why?
Terrible. Every year they do that. Probably going to get Bears Seahawks to start the season then on that Wednesday night.
That is the what the rumor mill is suggesting. By the way, Cowboys are a 1.5 point favorite total. 47.5, 48.5. That's the last thing the NFL needed to do.
So I'm getting a soda before the show. And at the Mega Bar, they have all the TVs up there, and they got Fox Sports 1 up. And the question posed was, is this a must-win for the Cowboys? Are you kidding? Is this I'm just, what the hell? Oh, my God. All right. This is a good lose some. Well, I can't believe this. Look at the big fella here, the Bulldog, right? Walking around.
Well, first of all, look at how enormous.
He's afraid of the dolly, of all things. He's like freaked out looking over at that thing. He can't get a read on it. Is it a person? Is it going to come alive? Is it going to chase me?
You know what it does? It looks like a vacuum.
Oh, yeah?
And how many dogs have you ever met that are not afraid of a vacuum?
Uh-huh. Or they bark at it. So, yeah.
Sure. Doesn't know what it is.
He's walking around and he's freaked out by the dolly in the garage. It's incredible.
Might come alive, get him.
Yeah. Several bad beats, no hyperbole. I think this is the worst beat of my life. This was Friday night. Paul George points were 15.5. It went up to 17.5. With 3 minutes and 30 seconds left in the first quarter, Paul George had 15 points. He didn't get hurt. There wasn't foul trouble. He wasn't taken out of the game. He didn't score the rest of the game and finished with 15 points. Impossible.
I mean, try to explain that one.
Oh, I couldn't believe it. Raining threes, got 15 right away. Good player, doesn't score the rest of the game and got good looks.
Yeah, by the way, he goes over his 3 prop.
Right away.
His made threes prop right away in the game, but he can't go over 15.5.
Oh, God. Lynx up 17, lost to the Dream. Hawks 43% to get a top 4 pick, no dice. Pacers 52% to get a top 4 pick, no dice. And the Cardinals blew it up 2 in the 9th. They lost in 10 against the Padres. Sports calendar never stops. Sharp Plays covers it all. Documented, logs posted publicly, sharpplays.com. The daily Mr. Poison tweets. When they move, the books take notice. Trusted insider intel. They find the value before the numbers shift. Respected, watched, and feared. Start winning with them. Sharpplays.com. Great sources collecting data and info from bettors and sources worldwide across all sports and sent out immediately to subscribers. Jeff and the crew are fantastic. Win with them at sharpplays.com.
So it is PGA Championship week. We'll expand on this coming up in about an hour and 10 minutes when we have a guest on the program. Neil Parker is going to join us from Covers. Scotty Scheffler is higher than 4-1 at most books to win this event. By the way, I saw Caesars Will Hill. They moved Cameron Young to the second shot on the board, 8-1. 8-1 for Cam Young all of a sudden. What do you make of this idea? Because clearly Scotty is going to be, based on how he has played this year, he'll get off to a slow start, and then come Saturday and Sunday, he's going to be right there. Talk me off of this cross-sport parlay. The Thunder to win the West, the Knicks to win the East, Scotty to win the PGA is around 10 to 1.
No Scotty. I like the first two. Put something else on there.
Well, it's a way to get Scotty up to 10 to 1 or a little bit higher than that. He's going to be there on Sunday. Like he'll be either in the lead or he's going to be within 1 or 2 strokes.
Top $5, $20.
Yeah, top 5.
Top 10. Top 10 minus 230. Not bad. Fitzpatrick, 23 to 1 looks pretty good.
Yeah, not bad.
And Schauffele always in the mix too, it seems. Schauffele's 20 to 1 as well.
Well, that is until this previous weekend when I bet him to go top 10 and he finished, I think, tied for 61st.
Tomorrow's going to be fun because a lot of people have the Carolina, Colorado, and OKC stuff. So the tip jar is open. Send them in, FTM at vsin.com. There's a couple of beauties that have come in already. One guy could win $40,000. He's got a Michigan, Carolina, OKC. Beautiful. Guy's cooking. Looking forward to that.
Just those 3 legs would pay 40,000.
That's what it is, yeah.
Pretty good.
We got the Michigan early, yeah. Yeah. Wasn't late. He got it early.
I'm looking right now at the odds board at DraftKings. They have Cam Young 15 to 1. I think
he's
at
on fire.
Yeah, at that number, he's going to be popular.
Yes.
We'll hit the ice up next. The Wild can flip their series with Colorado upside down by winning Game 4 tonight. But will they? We'll get into that and other bets to make coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.